All right, witches and wizards, welcome to another Nerd Herders Talking N3rdy Podcast. I'm Travis.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Sam.
And once again, the group is going to be talking about Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. We had done a trailer park for this movie about a month ago, actually.
Not too long ago. It was when they had the final trailer.
Yes. So we're going to have a link to that in the description if you're curious at all to hear our thoughts on the trailer alone. But here we are after all three of us have seen the movie. It's been out for a couple weeks now, or a week, I guess.
I'll say a week, yeah.
Yeah. So, fellas, what are your thoughts?
Oh, boy. All right, you lead off then.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do Sam and then Aaron.
I was not a part of the trailer park, so I watched your guys' reactions. I had about the same reaction to the trailer. I was like, all right. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I liked the first one very much. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one was not as fun. It had fun moments, and Newt Scamander still owns my heart.
Yes.
And every scene with him was really endearing and great, and I think that Jude Law was great as young Dumbledore. But I feel like everything else had flaws. many flaws, and they made it way more complicated than it needed to be.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I'll start this off. That's my brief summary.
Okay. Aaron?
Yeah, I agree that, the first thing I said when the movie ended was I said I really liked all the bits that had Newt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wasn't in the scene, I felt like, why was it in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Anything that didn't revolve around his character, I don't know. They were just either not even filler scenes, because I just feel like when you went off on a different tangent, it wasn't necessary to what is theoretically supposed to be Newt's story that we're being told. So the movie was a little too all over the place for me, and there were too many big plot decisions with not very compelling reasons behind why the decisions were made.
Not like a substantial motivation.
Right. So something big that, sets in motion the next big part of the movie, and you go, but why did they do? Like, why did they feel that's what had to happen?
For why?
Yeah, exactly. So I wasn't able to follow along and be like, yeah, that's what you got to do. Yeah, the whole time I'm like, you could have done this, or just... You
could have done this from the beginning?
Yeah. So there's just the lack of convincing motivation behind why the characters are doing what they're doing, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Travis?
Well, I probably enjoyed the movie more than you guys, I think. But my two biggest gripes are that, the same as the first movie, I don't think that this sequel knew what story to focus on.
I think so, absolutely.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, they're telling a lot of different stories at the same time. I'm not sure what specifically the social commentary is that they're trying to get out, because every movie does it, and this one had kind of a lot going on, same as the first one. Mm-hmm. And the entire movie, to me, was a setup for the third one. It did not feel like its own story.
This was the middle child.
So. Yeah, because I think so. It was trying to build up to something grander than it was, which I think left the movie itself, like this one, feeling really lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, if they had, I don't know, I don't want to say more in this movie, because Lord knows they had enough.
It was already over 2 hours. It was already like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
It just wasn't cohesive.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel like separately I would be kind of intrigued in all of these stories. Mm-hmm. But throwing them together in this way left something to be desired.
Yeah, it's like every single character had their own story that's trying to be told at the same time. Mm-hmm. You've got Dumbledore's quest for not so much vengeance, I guess, as closure with his whole relationship with Grindelwald. Newt is trying to meet up with Tina and save Credence. Credence is trying to find out who his mother is, who his siblings are, who he is. Grindelwald is trying to be Mr. Proto-Voldemort.
Yeah.
And
and then all the ministries are just trying to vie for control of all these different factions.
Theseus is doing his own thing. Tina's doing her thing. Jacob and Queenie can't figure their shit out. Like,
ever at any point through the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I feel very disappointed with Nagini. Like,
the whole hype behind introducing that character.
What a bomb and what a name drop.
She didn't do anything.
She didn't do anything.
She was there to be a reflection of Credence, really, to be like, oh, someone else who doesn't feel like they belong because of such and such.
Yeah, but he doesn't even take
like,
advantage of that
has
relationship.
Now, I guess.
And she had like 3 lines in the whole damn movie.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. But, I don't know, because it's, for all the bad things, there's still a lot of elements that I liked and I hold on to. And like,
oh, absolutely.
Apparently that's going to be a 5-movie long series.
Yeah.
So
I did not know that. I thought it was going to be 3.
Oh no, they announced a little bit ago, shortly after this film.
It was after the first movie. They told
or was
us
it after the first
5.
one?
Really?
After the first one, J.K. Rowling said she wants 5 movies.
Oh me, oh my.
Yep.
I mean, considering she wrote this one as she wrote the other one, and has written everything, this was not her best writing.
No,
just
this felt
the dialogue, it wasn't her best work.
You know what
she
I
can
think
do
this
so
is
much better.
Comparable to? I think we have a classic situation like with George Lucas, where it's like you got your first story told and everyone loved it, and then you kind of get put in this position where everyone's going to say yes to you. No one's going to say no. So when you come out with a new story, people are just kind of like, yeah, okay, let's do it.
I've already seen, people online calling this the curse of the prequel.
Yes.
So very similar thing, like Star Wars. You had a good thing and you couldn't just stop.
Yeah.
And you chose to be all...
I think specifically with Star Wars and with Harry Potter, they're both these like magical universes beyond our realm, and there's supposed to be a little bit of mystery and fun in that, and when you just take the time to over-explain things, it's sort of, I don't know, I love lore and things like that. I love to know the stories behind everything and everybody, but when it feels like really hand-fisted, like, exposition, it's not like subtle clues leading to this and that, it's like you push it in your face that this is this person and this is why this is happening, and we have someone say it at least twice, things like that. That's what bothers me. I feel like I don't know, I appreciate subtle storytelling, and I feel like it was too jumbled to even attempt subtle storytelling, and it just left everything a little bit strange for me.
With Harry Potter, the books and the movies, you're looking at the world through the eyes of a young boy who did not grow up in that world, just as we did not.
Exactly.
Because,
we're introduced to all the magic with him.
Right, and so you learn little bits and pieces, you hear whispers, you hear trails and things, but it's left to the imagination and the mystery, just as it is for him.
Yeah.
With this movie, you had Dumbledore's monologue, you had Grindelwald's, double monologue.
You had a couple.
Random French guy explain for 10 minutes the backstory of everything. Because it wasn't evident in the film. So they're like, these characters are going to monologue to fill you in on all this stuff that we just can't even pretend to play out.
And it's a big issue that when I was studying film in college that they talked about is too many filmmakers tell instead of show, when the cinematic experience is supposed to be a show instead of tell kind of format. If it was a book, it's one thing, because then you get this subtext aside from dialogue and whatnot, but in a visual format, it's just a waste of time, and it assumes your audience is just dumb as bricks.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the scene with Grindelwald, which some horrible camera work, by the way. When he's pacing back and forth and the camera is panning at the same speed in the opposite direction, so he's walking forward but the camera's moving backward and he's not actually moving across the screen, and it's just a close-up on his upper body. It's like, how disorienting is that? They're literally just shoving in your face the words. That entire scene was nothing but the words. What was on screen did not matter, and they just kind of threw it in there.
And then there's that one scene where what's-her-face Lestrange opens the desk, and there's a weird shaky cam. And I was like, what is this?
I
don't know why I noticed it, but the instant it happened, we just like turned to each other. We're like,
Like
oh,
in the theater,
It's
we're
like
like,
that
what?
one
What's
scene
with
in
the
The
hand
Hobbit where they
cam?
used a GoPro.
Yeah.
yeah,
It sticks out like a sore thumb.
It's just
Yeah.
strange. And then there were still some like nice cinematic shots
Yeah.
and things, just like
There
the
were.
first one had.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, there's always just like a little something to take you out of the moment.
For sure.
And
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like you said, just too many stories and not enough time to show it all, so then they have to tell what you obviously missed.
Yeah.
But there was still, I mean, everything that was great about the first movie that was brought into this movie was still great. So
Yeah.
Newt, his relationship
oh my God,
with Jacob.
salamander eyes.
I know.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
in
this is
tears.
beautiful.
Newt and
And-
Tina, that was the best relationship in the whole film as far as
Am
two
I
characters
the only
interacting.
one that's pissed they didn't get their first kiss in this movie?
I kind of am, honestly.
Oh,
But you know they're going to
was-
wait for the next one because there's going to be
the
5
one after
films.
Yeah.
So they're going to drag it out.
But there had to be the off-screen conflict before this movie started as to
Yeah.
why they weren't talking and why he had to seek her out.
Oh, I know.
That was okay. I
So
think that was
shoehorned.
another area that this movie kind of failed me, is that it felt so childish. Between
It was,
Queenie getting upset at Jacob calling her crazy, and
Yeah,
then
it
Tina
was-
being like, "Oh, Newt found somebody else." Like, it was.
It was just this weird drama that I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily accustomed to. Like, there'd be, like, little sprinkles of that through Harry Potter, like, with Harry and Cho.
Yeah,
and
but they're
there's,
like
that-
13.
And they're
It's supposed
teenagers.
to happen.
I know, like, they're teenagers, and then there are these
people
fully
are, like,
fledged adult
30.
people.
They're adults. They should have their shit figured out. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, and I don't want to diminish like a lot of that kind of truth they're telling, and that like men kind of, when they make that assumption that a woman's crazy or whatever, it definitely can create a toxic and volatile environment, but it didn't fit with the characters.
Yeah.
It didn't add to the story, I think.
Well, and in that moment, he was upset because she had literally, like, bewitched him.
Well, yeah.
You know, with no explanation. And so
Yeah,
he
and
was
let's
kind
be
of blowing
honest,
off steam.
If you really love someone, you don't give them a freaking love potion. You don't brainwash them.
No.
That's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah,
Horrible.
so he was, rightly pissed in that moment.
And it
Yeah.
makes
But
me
it's
sad
because she reads minds
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
that you know.
And that's the other thing. Like, people think before they speak, so it's really not fair that, like, his first thought is what she kind of took and ran with.
Right, because he was like, I didn't say it. And she's like, you didn't have to. And it's like,
For me, it
that's
severely
rough
diminished
because-
Queenie's character.
yeah.
I
Well,
think
and then her choice at the end
Yep.
to join Grindelwald for Jacob by leaving Jacob after he said, this isn't what I want, in
But it's
order
like,
to
yeah,
get
that's-
what she thinks he wants or what she wants for him. So she just her mindset is
I feel like the
she's
first movie built her up to be this really loyal and loving person
yeah.
that like gets glanced over because of how she is and things like that. And
Right.
like
Because she seems ditzy, but she's not.
exactly, like
Yeah,
she
it-
puts a decent amount of thought into things. She wants to help the people that she loves, and she's really loyal to the people that she loves. So the fact that she would swap loyalty to Grindelwald
Yeah.
from these people that she cares so much for.
But for her, before this movie even began, she was blinded by what she wanted and nothing else for
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
reason, and that never changed. The whole movie, she only wanted what she wanted, regardless of what anyone else thought.
Yeah.
And so she had zero character development because that
It
had
was
already
almost
been
a character
established.
regression.
A little bit, yeah.
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 Baby nifflers are cute.
Yeah,
I want
That
40.
that is for sure.
Right.
That is
Okay,
for
so
sure.
so yeah, the Fantastic Beasts part of Crimes of Grindelwald was still good. We got some new, creatures. We got
Yeah.
to see Newt interacting. The Niffler was back and used in, different
I like
ways.
that he used to keep Grindylows in a jar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. And it was also kind of interesting that they included like a regular animal, that crow, the raven.
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
he was younger.
Yeah.
Like it was intriguing because it shows he's got a
normal
soft
bird.
spot not just for magical creatures but animals,
All
creatures in
creatures.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's sweet.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to play into that sort of a parallel with Credence's bird, which is not how that panned out, and it left me confused. It left Aaron and I confused, that last... Huge spoiler warnings. That last bit.
Where he has the Phoenix.
Where he has the Phoenix.
Okay,
And we're just confused.
What is our thoughts on the fact that he is apparently Aurelius Dumbledore, Credence's true identity?
I don't know, man. I have trouble trying
Grindelwald's
to fit it
lying
into
to him.
everything. We had the thought, like, maybe this is just a plot from Grindelwald because he knows that he can defeat Dumbledore, so he's lying to him to be like, this, you had this family, they abandoned you, but you're stronger than all of them.
Yeah, just
or
to
if he is a
target him.
Dumbledore, I'm confused as to how he fits into the scheme of things, and it's odd. It's an odd choice if it's for real.
Right.
Yeah. Do we
you
think
think
that we're going to see a young Aberforth in the next one, perhaps?
Oh, probably.
I think
yeah.
it'd be
and
neat to see a young Aberforth, because Aberforth is a character that I knew and was intrigued in from the books and all of that. But I don't care about... If Credence is a Dumbledore, I don't know nothing about Credence being a Dumbledore.
It doesn't make sense to me for multiple reasons. One, J.K. Rowling has already given us, through Pottermore, an extensive background of the Wizarding World and these families.
Yeah, like that whole biography of Dumbledore from Deathly Hallows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already know that it was the two brothers and the sister, and in the duel between them and Grindelwald, the sister died, and that caused the rift, and that caused the regret, and that caused, Albus and Aberforth to be distanced from each other, and that it led to Dumbledore finally defeating Grindelwald in 1944 or 1945, whatever year it was, but essentially at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
So these are things we already know. So why change or add to something that has supposedly already been canon for a decade?
And it's a fairly solid canon.
It's just midi-chlorians again.
Exactly.
So
Oh my gosh.
And again, if he is a Dumbledore, if he is part of that established, family, then why in the world were they on the frickin' Titanic or whatever that scene was supposed to be?
That was the Titanic.
Yeah.
100%.
Clearly. The outfits, the timeline lines up.
Sinking ship.
So, I mean, many ships sunk in that time, but it was too
There's one that we know.
obvious.
Yeah.
So why in the world would the Dumbledores be on the Titanic?
They were going to America.
Why?
Well, it wasn't the Dumbledores. It was the mother and the Babbo.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, Albus and Aberforth, born in the, late 1800s, 1880s, 1890s.
Yeah.
So this is, if that's 1912, the Dumbledore brothers would already be in their 20s. The sister would be like 10. That's probably around the time that the fight happened.
Maybe the death of her daughter is what caused her to leave.
Maybe. And there were just the other sibling was so young at that point, the other ones didn't know about it or didn't care.
That was probably a huge scandal, and they probably blamed it on the mom. So she's like, you know what? My kids are grown. I'm going to bounce. In which case, how did the baby get born?
Yeah.
Haven't a clue.
Yeah, exactly. And then, speaking about established families and changing timelines, the Lestranges.
Yeah.
This French branch of this,
Which
pure
they
blood
had to have a bunch of flashbacks and a bunch of exposition to thoroughly explain how that they are connected.
So Lita Lestrange is the daughter of the French family's mother, and the guy. I'm assuming the guy was part of the British family that went to France, or he's a French cousin. Who frickin' knows? And then the other brother, the one that she kills on the boat, was from another French lady, wizard or witch.
It's super convoluted and just muddy.
And I'm sure it is muddy because the purebloods are only going to marry other purebloods or whatever. But it's just, and France and England aren't that far apart. But that was just an unnecessary branch of the family tree for something that ultimately amounted to nothing.
Yeah.
She sacrifices herself, dies. This whole thing she admits her brother's death. Credence isn't the other guy it just...
She still loves Newt.
Still loves Newt.
Yeah, her character was worthless in this film.
Yeah.
But she took up so much screen time. She had more screen time than Tina, in my opinion.
Yeah, she did. She absolutely did.
Yeah. But she didn't contribute anything.
Nope.
That's just it. These new characters didn't bring anything new to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other than Dumbledore.
I feel like she was...
But he's not technically new.
True.
He's just new to this series.
She was there to provide this weird backstory explanation, and also, like,
Tina's
so she
jealousy.
was a plot decide. Yeah, and then also Tina's jealousy.
She was literally just
But
there.
they're like, we can't just have her there and be the other woman, possibly. We need to give her this convoluted backstory for all these reasons.
And she's what's come between Theseus and Newt, so if we just kill her off, the two brothers can have their reunion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think Theseus will be in the rest of the series, or at least in the next film, now that they have kind of bonded again?
Man, I really thought Jacob was going to die in this one, and now, like, my instincts tell me Theseus is going to die in the next one, but, like, I feel like I just can't tell. I don't know
Somebody's
what kind of game.
Somebody's gotta die in the next one. Because this movie's big death was just Lita Lestrange, who we didn't care about to begin with.
I mean, I can't say I didn't care, but it didn't pack the emotional punch it could have if she had stuck around for a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think they gave us enough reason to care, other than the fact that she was Newt's, old love that he obviously still had something for in the first movie.
Yeah, she had a rough childhood.
Yeah. Another, to come back to the positive for a moment, Nicholas Flamel.
Oh my god.
I
love Tina. Nicholas Flamel, best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Best character.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Abigail and
love
I
him.
were dying watching it in the theater. He is so funny and so like,
his little shuffle.
Adorable.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, he was
man.
a good
He's
addition.
like, are you a ghost? I love him. I love this version of this famous alchemist.
Right.
They didn't really like highlight it, but I was looking at the Noble collection, the wands that they released, the replicas, and his wand is so cool. It's got like a talon claw for the pommel end of it, and it looks so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I need to look it up.
Yeah, there's
That
only
sounds
the
great.
one. There's only the one scene in the movie where he has it and he's holding onto it, so you can't even
Yeah.
see it. Yeah, that's cool.
What a cool dude, though. I love him.
I did
give him a spinoff.
Right.
Yes.
Don't, though, please. I don't know that they can do it.
An origin story.
Make the
set
next
in,
movie all
in
about
Full
him.
Metal Alchemist starring Nicholas Flamel.
I'm in. I'll fund it.
Right.
Yes.
In the year like 1500.
Oh man.
I also really liked seeing Dumbledore teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The flashbacks of him with Lita Lestrange and the kids, doing the Bogart and stuff, but also in the
Well,
present
they kept
time.
that Bogart in the same cupboard for 1,000,000 years.
Yeah.
Is my
Yeah.
question.
It's the same Bogart. It's the school's Bogart.
He's so
It feeds
tired
off
of all these
fear,
children.
and like Hogwarts terrifies everybody who goes there. So
Right? So
True.
that Bogart's actually doing pretty good for
He's
himself.
living a good life.
Can I just say that I love the aesthetic of the old-fashioned Hogwarts robes.
Yeah.
Me too.
I love that they're like
my
a
gosh.
deep charcoal with the black stripes on the sleeves, and they kept like
That's
the
neat.
muted kind of colors on the inside for the house.
Yeah, so
The
I really liked
clasps. Oh
Yeah.
man,
the flashbacks at the school were good.
yeah,
With Dumbledore and young
Young
McGonagall.
McGonagall.
yes.
And that stuff was good.
That was good. I still think Jude Law is an excellent young Dumbledore.
Yeah.
I agree.
I saw a
grew on
post
me
that
as
was-
time went on.
Yeah.
I saw a post that was kind of funny that was like, I want to know when young Dumbledore decides to make like the costume switch from like tasteful gray suits to like crazy jeweled robes.
Probably after he kills his best friend and lover.
Probably.
In the
Loses his
70s.
mind.
In the 70s,
man.
he
In the
loses his
70s.
mind.
Well,
But
and
no, we can't talk about how gay they are. Because it's like, oh, you're like brothers. And he's like, closer than brothers. And I'm like, please stop. Please don't.
Right,
Just
they
don't
just-
acknowledge it if you're not going to acknowledge it. Don't pretend.
they just leave it at that. And then then they had the scene of them making the blood oath, and then that was it.
So, kind of going back to the design of Flamel's wand, this actually brings me to something that I wanted to point out that I was very, I at least have my curiosity satisfied, because when they came out with the first promo pics for the movie, there was that design of Dumbledore's wand that looked very close to the Elder Wand. And if you guys noticed, Dumbledore's wand he uses throughout the movie is not that same design. It's got like a silver pommel and this twirling core on it.
I hadn't noticed. I hadn't thought to look, honestly.
When you get a chance, take a look at it. But
Hell
during
yeah.
the flashback to young Dumbledore, the wand that he uses to draw that line of blood on his hand, that was the first wand that we saw in the promo pics. So it's a
that's neat.
child Dumbledore's wand.
Yeah, so the wand,
Dumbledore.
the wand that Jude Law is using is not
Yeah.
Dumbledore's original wand.
I can dig it, though.
He lost it or broke it at some point, or
It's like,
upgraded for a
if
more
you
expensive
figure
one.
Him
more
and
powerful
Grindelwald
one.
spent half their life looking for the Elder Wand. They probably like battled a bunch of other wizards thinking they had the wand. So
That's
God knows
true.
where he got this one from.
They kept upgrading.
Yeah.
There's other powerful wands that would help them get to
Yeah.
the
That was
Elder
just a
Wand,
starter wand.
right? Oh gosh, I just had a thought. Okay, so we've got like about 10 minutes. So Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. You know, in the first movie, it's just it's only a little bit. You know, it's not as much of the film. This one,
I
it's
think
it's
I'm
the whole
losing
film.
connection because I'm having
So-
trouble understanding you.
Oh,
Oh, no.
well, I was gonna say, what do you think about Johnny Depp as Grindelwald in this
There
film?
we go. I've got very conflicting emotions
Same.
because as far as I'm concerned, Hollywood needs to be done with that guy. Like I feel pretty done with him, and like,
Yeah.
my God, he was in so much of the movie, and the entire time I just
Yeah.
kept thinking, what was his paycheck?
Yeah.
Right.
What did they give him?
He probably
He was, like, the
demanded
big
that amount
man.
of screen time. Mm-hmm. Like
Maybe.
I know the movie's called Crimes of Grindelwald, but for a guy that
Grindelwald did the least amount of crimes.
I was gonna say, for a guy that didn't really actually do anything until the very end of the film, in which he still didn't
Well-
really do anything.
It was the very beginning and the very end, but in the middle, it's
Yeah.
like just talking.
He's just hanging out in his apartment.
Yeah. He killed a baby, or he ordered
No,
someone
he
to
made
kill a
someone
baby.
else do it. He didn't even do it himself.
Like,
God, at least Voldemort tried to kill the baby himself.
Oh my god,
that's true.
Aaron.
That's true. Man, you know, I don't know. I think he did a good performance, you know, considering what he had to work with, and from the cast interviews that I've read, nobody had any problems with him on set. They said he was just like he was
That's
fine
good.
working with him. But it's
At
like
least
that's
he-
not the story for like other movies that he's been in recently. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
he's
just didn't-
trying to do a Robert Downey Jr. comeback or what the deal is.
Who knows?
I don't know.
I just didn't, for a movie, again, it's named after the character Grindelwald. I didn't find much of what Grindelwald did very memorable. Like, when I think about this movie, I still think about, like, the scenes with Newt, and, like, maybe a couple other, like, sporadic points as positives, and I didn't think much about Grindelwald at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a movie with him in the title.
I wasn't a huge fan. I don't understand what the little skull thing is. What did I call it? His
His wizard hookah.
yeah,
It's like
I
his
called.
Halloween, like, vape bong.
Oh yeah,
Spooky
his
hookah.
Halloween
hookah.
bong. You know,
it
he
looks
just
like one of those, like,
yeah, he
Halloween
takes
beer
a
funnels.
big old hit and just
Yeah.
And he just blows sadness onto the audience.
I,
But it gives a vision of World War II and the atom bomb. I mean, what the hell was that?
I don't know.
And he was like, that's what we're fighting against.
I know, but since when is this part of what wizards can do? I mean, and I get it. It was that artifact.
well, he's
But-
looking into the future, same as any seer would who studied divination.
I
he just
guess,
used a different
but-
tool for it.
But the future is still changeable. That's established
Yeah.
through everything else that we've learned about looking into the future as a wizard.
Right, but he ends up showing us exactly what does happen. Nothing changes, and the whole thing with divination is that it's spotty at best.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
think about like the prophecies that Trelawney gave. Maybe
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
him making a prophecy.
I guess
Maybe.
it's just the visual aspect. It
Yeah.
was too visual. You know,
Yeah.
if it was a description, if it was an oratory or an image that was drawn or something, but just a
But it's
freaking
magic, and he's got to
you know-
show them.
yeah. I mean,
You know.
showing it was just a smoke projection of freaking Saving Private Ryan. I mean,
Well,
like
think of it this way. It's kind of like in Age of Ultron when Scarlet Witch touches Tony Stark, kind of going back to Robert Downey Jr. here.
Yeah.
And she puts that image in his head of what Thanos does.
Yeah.
And it's using that image, that visual experience to try and provoke fear and to prompt people to take action in one way or another. It's a scare tactic.
Yeah.
So words alone people can be skeptical of, but when you physically show them something they can see with their own eyes, it makes it that much more real.
I was fine with him blowing the vape smoke and showing us the future. What a statement that is. I was fine with that because...
I was like, we get it, you vape.
I was fine with that because it was like a small moment where he was not monologuing, which...
Yeah.
That's true.
Again, I'm like, yeah, sure, show me some things.
At least he stopped talking.
So,
Yeah.
I don't mind the visuals rather than an oratory explanation because the entire movie felt like it was trying really hard to give an oratory explanation for everything.
Yeah.
Although, for, like, as complex and, like, jumpy as a movie as this was, every time there was, like, a character on screen for a split second, I would point in front of Aaron's face and I would say, suspect. And they would turn out to be evil.
And every single
I'd be like,
time-
you killed your brother. And it was right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
for as, like, weird and convoluted and hard to follow
It was
as it
also
was in some
predictable.
points, I knew it was happening until the very end when he was like, you're a Dumbledore.
Yeah.
I didn't call that, but I called just about everything else in the movie.
There's nothing that could have made anyone call that. It was so thrown in there that I was just like, what the flip?
So.
Well, and what the fuck, does Credence even know what that means?
No.
He doesn't even know who
shouldn't.
Dumbledore is.
Yeah, he was raised
So-
by
All
a
he
witch
knows is
hunting
he-
cult.
Yeah.
All he knows is that Grindelwald was like, Phoenix has come to you. You're a Dumbledore. Check it out.
Yeah, we'll see. My theory is that Phoenix was left by Grindelwald when he went to visit them on the rooftop in order to later use that as a point to... But we'll see.
We shall
It's Fox, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I love
I
him.
know. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I was going to say... the timeline, 5 films. Okay.
Yeah.
This second movie takes place, what, 1 year later?
It's a year or two, I want to say.
About.
So how far do you think this is going to stretch? Because
If they're showing fucking World War II, Aaron.
well, so that's just it. We know the Grindelwald story ends with him and Dumbledore
Yeah.
in the mid-1940s. Okay? We're in pre-Depression, America and Europe.
Yeah.
They've got a decade and a half to go before this story wraps up.
Yep.
I think that number 3 is probably going to be close after. Like they're closing in on Grindelwald, then he's going to escape. Number 4 is going to be like a few years later. They get a rumor, but he's going to narrowly escape again. And then number 5 is going to be like Grindelwald is desperate because maybe like all of his followers were taken out and this is the big battle. Or it'll be another Battle of Hogwarts scenario in which it's Grindelwald's army versus the Ministry or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, and speaking of the Ministry, I just want to... There was no explanation for why the Brits got to run the French Ministry. They just showed up, and they were calling all the shots.
I like the one lady who was cast literally to just be creepy.
Oh, the creepy old lady and her cats.
Yeah, creepy old lady with her cats. Like, we're like, we need like 5 minutes of horror in this movie.
Yeah. Right.
And they cast her. And I'm like, good job casting director.
Oh, yes.
She was a creepo.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Why would they get to show up to another country and just be like, hey, this is what we're doing?
Yeah.
But
so I guess in closing, so this doesn't drag out too much longer.
Yeah.
How would you guys rate this movie out of 10?
Ooh.
Being
Out
the
of
10th
10.
Harry Potter franchise film.
As like a standalone movie,
Yeah, I
Yes.
was
it
gonna
would
say
be
yes.
like, I would say it'd be like maybe a 3.5, maybe 4, pushing it for me.
All right.
For the first Fantastic Beasts, I would give it like 8.59. So
Yeah.
it was like real sad for me to cut that in half, but I just
Okay.
think it was too much. It still had elements of the things that I liked and it introduced a couple of things that I liked, but not enough to warrant me really liking this long played out movie.
yeah.
I'd give it a 5, right in the
Okay.
middle. Just because there was good and there was bad.
There was good and bad.
Yeah.
End of review.
End of review.
Thank you, Ron Swanson.
A.A. Ron Swanson.
I'm right there with you, Sam. I'd give the first Fantastic Beasts an 8.5 or a 9. Probably leaning towards 8.5 just because I do have issues with like the flow of the movie.
Yeah.
But for this movie, I'd give it a 6.5, teetering on to a 7. It's because like as much as there are issues with it, me personally, I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. And like it left me with questions and excitement for the next one, even though I do have some confusion. And I think that kind of the more critical reactions that the studio hears about this particular movie, I'm hoping is going to kind of spur a little more discussion between J.K. Rowling and then whoever the screenwriter editors are.
Yeah.
I think that they're probably going to step in and maybe be a little more critical about what it is they're putting out there instead of giving her free reign to pen the whole screenplay and just roll with it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the third movie doesn't come out for another 2 years.
I like this kind of gap of time in between where it's not every single year a new movie.
We don't need one every year.
Yeah. Or it'll just be more rushed, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if they take the time and they listen to the critiques for this movie, I'm also interested to see what happens, because I love this time period. I love a lot of these characters. I do want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that I can follow it in a way that brings me joy, because that's what the film should be for me.
Especially if they are going to cover that 15 years. If they're going to actually play this out to what we know, unless they're just going to alter that as well, and he's going to get killed off in the 30s, you know. It's just J.K. Rowling has already established so much of this world, so don't change it. Within the lines of what you've already written. Don't rewrite it, you know, and just hope that not enough people read Pottermore or read Wikipedia or watched behind the scenes stuff, because a lot of us have, you know, so don't change it. Don't change it. Stick with what you've already established and just fill in the gaps, please. That's all I ask for the rest of this series.
You should tweet at her.
Yeah.
Tweet at her.
Yeah. Because I'm really excited for how it could go, but I'm also really terrified for how it could go.
You're cautiously optimistic.
Yes, yes, because there's so much potential.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's a pretty good assessment on our part.
Agreed.
I like that we all have some like fairly different viewpoints on some things.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, yeah. We all saw different things out of this film, for sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right, well, I guess until next time, stay nerdy.